Greetings, my name is Abigail, and I've always been someone who works really hard. I grew up facing tough situations, having to handle several low-paying jobs before finally finding a good one. Going to college wasn't possible because of money issues, but I stayed determined to create a steady life. I met Joseph, my husband, when we worked together. We began dating after he got a job transfer. I thought he cared about me, and that's why we got married. When Joseph had a tough time in his career, I stood by him without any doubts, even helping out with our bills. My world fell apart when I found out about Joseph's year-long affair. When I talked to him about it, he didn't seem sorry at all. Even though he betrayed me, I hesitated to get a divorce because of our son, Paul. He really wanted our family to stay together. I felt torn between my feelings and Paul's plea, so I decided to give Joseph another chance. He said he would stop the affair and everything seemed okay for a bit. But then I found out he went back to the relationship. Even though I was mad, I stayed for Paul, who became my main support. Over time, as Paul finished high school, he decided not to go to college and opted for a job instead. I stood by him, determined to help. Finally, Joseph landed a job at a recently opened restaurant nearby. The path hasn't been easy, but I stay strong for the sake of my family. I was happy because my son had found a job, and being familiar with the business, my joy was high. However, my happiness didn't last long. The day before Paul was supposed to sign his work contract, he, along with his dad Joseph, unexpectedly sat me down. "Abigail," Joseph began, "now that Paul is 20, there won't be any custody issues. Here are the divorce papers and your eviction notice. I want you out." I was taken aback. "What kind of ambush is this, Joseph? You can't just spring this on me. You're being ridiculous," I exclaimed, feeling the threat of eviction. But Paul, my own son, shocked me further. "Mom, we don't need you anymore. Money is the only thing you are good for. Dad doesn't want you here, and frankly, neither do I. I have a job now, so you're not necessary." Paul's words pierced through me. My own son, who had convinced me to stay with Joseph, now wanted me gone. Joseph laughed at my predicament. "Look at that, Abigail. Your own son is ready to kick you out. I guess you aren't the mom of the year after all?" Desperate to understand, I pleaded with Paul. "Are you serious? Why do you want me to leave? What did I do wrong?" "You're annoying, Mom," Paul retorted. "Dad's girlfriend is much better. She's a fun parent, unlike you. She knows how to be friends with me. All you do is yell and tell me to study. I prefer her over you. I'm even thinking of calling her Mom. She's beautiful, fun, and has a big fortune. She assured me it would all be mine once she passed. You have nothing." The revelation that my husband's mistress was set to marry Joseph and adopt Paul left me stunned. They praised her for being amazing and securing their future, making me feel sick. While Paul and Joseph continued to sing her praises, I sat on the sofa, shaking with disbelief and heartbreak. "All right, I understand. You're suggesting that we can go our separate ways now, Abigail. The divorce process should be straightforward, especially given that Paul is already an adult. No need for child support or complications. It's a simple and clear-cut split. Do you truly see me as replaceable? Have I only been valued for financial reasons all along? Is this the treatment I merit? Dad had an affair because he couldn't maintain our happiness, and I stood by him. Perhaps this is the consequence for not succeeding as a spouse and a mother." I couldn't handle it, and tears streamed down my face. Those words stung, like a sharp pain in my heart. Paul and Joseph mocked me, saying I was worthless. I always knew Joseph wasn't kind, but I never thought my own son would be so mean. I dedicated years to looking after them, and now they label me a failure. It broke my heart, but their laughter fueled my determination. I vowed to prove them wrong. I walked out of the room and headed upstairs. Paul and Joseph were talking about their future plans. Joseph gave me papers saying he wanted a divorce and an eviction notice, thinking he didn't need my money anymore. After thinking for a moment, I returned downstairs and calmly said, "You both want a divorce, Joseph. And you want me out of the house? All right, I'll make it happen. I talked to my lawyer and he'll arrive shortly. You may want to reach out to your lawyer to wrap up the paperwork, as it looks like you've agreed to the outcome. Just a heads up, you won't receive any portion of this house. It's our shared property, and I believe I deserve half. I'm willing to stay elsewhere until everything is sorted out, but I won't relinquish my rightful share." "No way. I purchased this property with my own funds, and you have no claim to it whatsoever. It's all mine, Mom. Why are you being so selfish? Taking half the house means I lose my inheritance. Dad can't buy you out, and we might have to sell it. That's a big guess, Paul. I didn't know you cared so much about this place. I won't take half, but Joseph has to give up alimony and can't sue me in the divorce. I'll agree to that. Abigail, I don't need your money anyway. Moreover, my girlfriend is better at looking after us. Joseph got confirmation from my lawyer. First, my lawyer came in, and shortly after, Joseph's lawyer showed up. I agreed to the divorce papers, and Joseph fulfilled his promise by waiving alimony. He seemed proud, exchanging smiles with Paul. I maintained a neutral expression, hiding my anger and pain. Joseph had to sign the papers quickly. Since Paul was now grown up, there were no problems with custody or child support. I was grateful for that. I didn't want to handle someone who didn't care about their own mom. But the papers got signed, and the lawyer left. I hurried back to my room, locked the door, and called my best friend. She asked, "Did you finish it, Abigail? Did both of you sign the divorce papers?" I said, "Yes, it's done." Joseph didn't resist. He agreed to let go of everything. "That's awesome. Just a little while longer and you'll be free. We can finally bid farewell to all this," she exclaimed. I nodded. "Absolutely. I can't wait to leave this place. I'm done dealing with Joseph and Paul. How about you, Kayla? Have you figured things out?" She reassured me. "Definitely, Abigail. Nobody disrespects my best friend without consequences. I'm going to teach your ungrateful son a lesson. Just let me handle it at work tomorrow." Encouraged by Kayla's words, I decided to move in with her the very next day, busying myself with packing. Downstairs, Joseph eagerly confided in his secret partner, thrilled about his newfound freedom. Little did they anticipate that their happiness would soon be replaced by grief. Before consulting my lawyer, I shared all the details with Kayla, who was outraged and vowed to assist me. She graciously offered me temporary shelter and had a surprise in store for both Joseph and Paul. The following day, Paul left for work in high spirits, oblivious to the impending events. Whistling cheerfully, he hopped into his car and drove away. Meanwhile, I loaded my belongings into my car's trunk and departed as well. I first left my belongings at Kayla's house, where she eagerly awaited my arrival. Together, we headed to the restaurant where Paul recently landed a job. Upon our arrival, we overheard Paul raising his voice at the staff. As soon as he noticed us, he fell silent, wide-eyed. I greeted him with a smile and asked if everything was okay at his new job. Paul dismissed it as none of our business, claiming he was awaiting a meeting with the owner to resolve issues with the staff. I assured him that I wouldn't interfere and jokingly mentioned, "Don't worry, I won't butt in." Paul retorted, saying it was his workplace, and the dispute was between him and the employer. He insisted that we mind our own business, declaring he had things to do and wasn't useless like us. Kayla and I burst into laughter. Even the restaurant staff managed to keep their composure for professionalism's sake. Paul, visibly embarrassed, snapped at us to stop laughing, comparing his dad's girlfriend favorably to us. He scolded Kayla for gossiping about him with his mom, prompting Kayla to sarcastically compose herself. She revealed that the restaurant was her business, shocking Paul, who had insulted the person he was supposed to work for. He stood there in disbelief, starting to sweat at Kayla's unexpected revelation. As I tried to confirm if Kayla was honest, I stood quietly behind her, maintaining a smile and refraining from joining the conversation as I had pledged to Paul. I believed this matter was solely between them. With assurance, Paul stated, "You can't be the owner of this place. You're just a homemaker with no personal funds. It's unlikely you could have purchased this sizable restaurant." Disregarding his unwanted opinion, Kayla shared, "When my husband passed away, I got a lot of money. Instead of doing nothing, I decided to invest and got this place last 2 years. That's how the old cafe turned into a big restaurant." Paul, not sure about it, accused her of making up a story and taking credit for someone else's business. Kayla challenged him, saying, "Check with others if you don't trust me." "My team is here," Paul observed. To his amazement, everyone nodded, affirming that Kayla was the owner of the restaurant. Recognizing his error, Paul awkwardly confessed, "Wow, Kayla, that's cool. Looks like I'll be part of your crew now." But Kayla wasn't convinced. "Wait, Paul, I've had a change of heart. Even though I offered you the job, I've decided I don't want someone like you on my team. The one who talked to you before didn't really understand who you are, but I do. I don't want someone who doesn't appreciate things on my team." Paul got worried and said, "Wait, Kayla, there's been a mix-up. I work really well and your team chose me for a good reason. I'll give my all to this job. I'm super dedicated." Kayla, not impressed, replied, "I know you're not very hardworking. Don't try to convince me otherwise, Paul. I've known you for 20 years, and honestly, you haven't contributed much at home or gained any work experience. Your job search seemed more about impressing your dad's mistress than actually wanting to work. I may not have a lot of work experience, but I'm committed to giving my best if given the chance. You've treated your mother poorly, discarding her when it suited you, and yet you believe you're dependable. Sorry, Paul, but I can't hire you. We didn't sign a contract, so consider the job gone. I'll find someone else easily. Unexpectedly, Kayla exposed Paul's flaws in public. The restaurant staff overheard, casting disapproving glances. Paul realized he was losing his chance with his stepmother. Panicking, he turned to me, realizing he needed my intervention. Mom, why are you silent? You need to assure Kayla that I'll keep my word. Why should I, Paul? You chose your dad's mistress over me. You're no son of mine. This is your karma. Kayla's assessment is spot on, and I won't interfere. You're not appreciative, and it's hard to trust you. There's no good reason for someone to offer you a job. Paul lost control and revealed his true self. He began bothering me and using hurtful words. He was so upset that a coworker took out her phone, ready to call for help. Kayla remained composed despite Paul's insults. He threatened, "You believe you can treat me like this without consequences? Just wait, I'll find a job and then my stepmom will buy this place. I'll ruin you." Kayla replied calmly, "Do you really believe your stepmom will purchase my business? Oh, Paul, you're quite amusing. She doesn't even have a penny to her name. You're as naive as your dad. The lady just said what you wanted to hear and you didn't bother to verify it. Your new stepmom is simply a poor person. It's not possible. You're just spreading envy and lies about her because she's more attractive and wealthier than you." Kayla kept talking. When I discovered that your dad was cheating, I spilled the beans to Kayla. She did some snooping and uncovered some juicy details about your dad's other woman. Guess what, Paul? She's pretty much broke and relies on your dad's cash. She's just pretending to evaluate him for gold digging, scheming to make you work, trick your dad into marriage, and then enjoy a cushy life on both of your paychecks. Paul seemed shocked, like he'd just been hit by a bolt of lightning. He struggled to trust what we were saying, even though our explanations were clear. It looked like he couldn't wrap his head around it. We recommended that he verify the facts on his own, so he set out on a mission to uncover the truth. Later on, Paul, in need of answers, confided in Joseph. They joined forces to uncover the truth, but unfortunately they were deceived by falsehoods from someone untrustworthy. Meanwhile, I arranged a court date for our divorce and initiated our 8-month separation. During that period, Joseph, unwilling to accept the truth, married the woman he was having an affair with. Surprisingly, he left his own son behind based on her influence. Now facing challenges, Paul came to me seeking assistance, revealing the hardships he encountered after his dad kicked him out. Struggling to secure a decent job because of his limited experience and dealing with threats from his dad's partner, Paul desperately longed for reconciliation and a way back home. I told him to go away and come back only after fixing the problems he caused. He now has a job at Walmart and shares an apartment with 3 roommates. On a different note, Joseph learned the real financial situation of his secret partner and admitted that we were right. Trapped in an unhappy marriage, he frequently messages me, asking for another opportunity. I don't plan on giving him that chance. Instead, I'm thinking about buying his house, which is currently on the market, to help clear the debts on Joseph's new wife's credit card. What do you think? Appreciate your input.